On the day of the college entrance examination, Yvonne brought my wrong answer notebook into the examination room. She was caught cheating by the teacher. She pointed at me crying and said, "Serafina, I advised you not to cheat. Now you have even implicated me." I quickly explained. But my elder brother and childhood sweetheart, who were also in the examination room, testified against me by helping Yvonne. I saw my younger sister passing a note with my own eyes. My childhood sweetheart also said, "I saw it too." I was immediately banned from taking the college entrance examination. Afterward, my elder brother advised me, "You have always been the little princess of the family since childhood. But Yvonne can only change her fate by relying on the college entrance examination." I was not convinced. But my childhood sweetheart drove an illegal taxi and killed me. He said, "You have so many paths to take. What's wrong with giving way to Yvonne?" Yvonne enjoyed everything that should have belonged to me. When I opened my eyes again, I returned to the day of the college entrance examination. One at the door of the classroom. The staff was scanning my body with an instrument. The familiar scene made me realize that I had been reborn. After struggling to calm down my excited emotions, I went in and sat down. Soon Yvonne also came in. She was wearing a white dress. After passing the inspection and coming in, she also glanced at me with a smile. I stared at her skirt. In my previous life, Yvonne wrapped my wrong answer notebook around her thigh with tape and brought it into the examination room. But she was still caught by the teacher. She accused me crying and said that it was my cheating that implicated her. Even my elder brother and my childhood sweetheart in the same examination room also testified against me. I was asked to leave the examination room. Later, after the Education Bureau repeatedly checked the videos of the examination room, they cleared my name and gave me the opportunity to take a makeup exam. But my childhood sweetheart drove and hit me and killed me on the way to the makeup exam. Now that I can start over again, none of the three of them will have a good ending. Suppressing the surging emotions at the bottom of my heart, I greeted Yvonne with a smile. Then I deliberately asked Yvonne in a voice that could be heard by everyone in the entire classroom, "Why is your skirt so bulging?" Yvonne's smile froze for a second. She lowered her voice and told me not to talk nonsense. Obviously, a guilty look flashed across her expression. My elder brother, Yvonne, and my childhood sweetheart Leo all came over. The intention of backing Yvonne up was very obvious. It seemed that the two of them had known about Yvonne's cheating long ago. Maybe it was the two of them who came up with the idea of taking my wrong answer notebook into the examination room. Yvonne held my arm and wanted to pull me aside, reminding me in her mouth, "Go back to your own seat. The exam is about to start." I brushed Yvonne's hand away. "But this classmate." The voice of the staff came from the door. She looked directly at Yvonne. "Come here." Hearing this, Yvonne's face instantly turned pale. She opened her mouth. I. Yvonne glared at me fiercely. Standing beside Yvonne, looking down at the staff with the advantage of height, "She is my friend. She is socially phobic. The exam is about to start. If you do this, it will affect her performance later." Leo also said, "That's right." Yvonne shrank behind the two men. It was really a socially phobic posture. But the staff didn't give Yvonne and Leo any face at all. She said sternly, "You two go back to your seats and sit down." Yvonne was used to being pampered and complimented everywhere. Where had she been treated like this? He narrowed his eyes dangerously. "I'll say it again. She is my friend. If you affect her exam because of you, you don't want your job anymore." I lowered my head. The first social deaths since my rebirth was given by Yvonne. He dared to threaten even the people of the country. He is really a dandy. There was no emotion on the staff's face. She said coldly, "Please cooperate. Otherwise, please leave the examination room." Yvonne was speechless. "You." The staff didn't pay any attention to Yvonne anymore and asked Yvonne to go out with her. Yvonne gently pulled Yvonne's hem. "Yvonne, I'm afraid." The staff pursed her lips and said sternly, "I see that you are a girl. So I let you go out. If you don't want to, then lift up your skirt now. I want to check." Yvonne was so scared that tears came out. Other staff members also came over. It could be seen how serious the matter was. Some classmates began to protest. Hurry up. Don't affect other classmates. Since you are taking the college entrance examination, be fair. If you want to cheat, we won't do it either. If you have money, go abroad. If you don't have money, study hard. If you want to go to college by cheating, it's unfair to us who study hard. To a boy sitting at the back suddenly rushed up. Before everyone could react, he lifted Devon's skirt. The wrong answer notebook was wrapped around her thigh. It was so obvious that anyone except the blind person could see it. Anyone except a fool would know what she was trying to do. Yvonne screamed. Yvonne and Leo pushed the boy away and asked angrily, "What are you doing?" "She is cheating." The boy pointed at Yvonne and said loudly. Naturally, other classmates also saw it. The staff completely lost their patience and said coldly, "This classmate, come out with me." Yvonne panicked and cried. In the end, she looked at me and pointed at me. "This wrong answer notebook is hers. It's she who asked me to bring it in." Yvonne nodded. "That's right. I heard it with my own ears." Leo also stood up to testify for Yvonne. It was exactly the same as in the previous life. The difference was that this time I discovered Devon's cheating first. How could the staff believe their words? That staff member just glanced at me and asked me to go back to my seat, and also asked other classmates to go back to their seats. Then she asked Yvonne and Leo, "If you two don't want to take the exam, you can leave the examination room with her." Yvonne still had an arrogant attitude. "My friend hasn't cheated yet." The staff lost patience and directly interrupted Yvonne's words. "You come out with me too." Yvonne suddenly clenched her fists and stopped talking. Even Leo shut up. This time, the two of them let the staff take Yvonne out. Yvonne was crying. "Brother Yvonne. Brother Zon. Help me." What could the two of them say? If they said more, they would also be kicked out of the examination room. After all, other classmates had already been affected. Yvonne was taken out and never came back. Yvonne and Leo's icy gazes fell on me. Before they could speak, I said, "Shut up. If you continue to disrupt the examination room, I will complain. Can you stop talking?" Other classmates were also very impatient. "Otherwise, you two go out with that girl. There are people helping when cheating. It's so disgusting." Yvonne and Leo withdrew their gazes from Yvonne and went back to their seats. I thought the two of them really loved Yvonne. They didn't even go out to accompany Yvonne. TSK. This turmoil soon passed. Everyone's minds were still on this most important exam. The bell rang and the papers were handed in. At this moment, I almost cried. At this time in my previous life, I had already been kicked out of the examination room. Even though I could take a makeup exam later, I finally died on the way to the makeup exam. As long as it didn't affect themselves. Yvonne and Leo could even risk my life for Yvonne. Such selfish people. If I don't play them to death in this life. After leaving the examination room, Yvonne and Leo couldn't wait to look for Yvonne. I followed everyone and walked out of the school. "Serafina." My dad's voice sounded. I followed the sound and ran over. My mom immediately handed me a glass of water and asked me how I did on the exam. I didn't take the water glass. Instead, I hugged my mom. At this moment, tears welled up in my eyes. My mom's body stiffened for a moment. Then she gently patted me and comforted me softly. "It doesn't matter. There is not only the college entrance examination as a way out." My dad also comforted me. "That's right. Your future path has already been arranged by your parents. Serafina doesn't have to do anything all her life and still has endless money. Stop crying. Serafina. The college entrance examination is just nothing." These two sentences were said by Leo's parents. I left my mom's embrace and wiped away my tears and said with a smile, "It's not that I didn't do well on the exam. I just being able to be with my parents again. So I was excited. She did something wrong and is ashamed to face you. She is afraid that you will see her true face. Yvonne's cold voice sounded. I turned my head following the sound and saw Yvonne and Leo walking towards me. One is my elder brother, and the other is my childhood sweetheart. They should be the people closest to me. But the way they looked at me was like looking at an enemy they couldn't share the sky with. What's going on? My mom asked in confusion. Serafina. What did you do wrong? I didn't speak. Yvonne snorted coldly. Don't dare to say it? Do you think it's okay if you don't say it? My dad's voice became a bit lower. What's going on exactly? Seeing that I didn't speak, Leo sighed and said to my parents, Dad Serafina. Mom Serafina. I advise you to discipline Serafina well. She is really too much. My dad frowned tightly and looked at Leo unpleasantly. You speak directly. Don't beat around the bush. What's wrong with our Serafina? Leo's father and Leo's mother saw that my parents' faces were not very good. They immediately walked to Leo's side and motioned for him to shut up. Leo took a step forward with a righteous look on his face. Dad Serafina. Mom Serafina. Just now in the examination room, Serafina ruined a girl's future. What? My parents' shocked gazes fell on me. But obviously, neither of them believed that I would do such an excessive thing. Serafina. What's going on? My mom persuaded me patiently, and let me explain clearly myself. I shrugged. I didn't do anything wrong. Yvonne sneered. Ruining a girl's future is not wrong? Serafina. You are only 18 years old. How can you be so vicious at such a young age? Yvonne. My dad said sternly. How can you talk to your younger sister like this? What on earth is it? Hurry up and say it. If your sister really did something wrong, I'll teach her a lesson. You've been rambling on and on here but haven't said anything useful. Hurry up and say it. Yvonne nodded. Okay. I'll say it. He pointed at me. Because of her, Yvonne was kicked out of the examination room, and may not be able to take the college entrance examination for 3 years. Leo said indignantly. She may not even get a high school diploma. For hearing this, my parents looked at each other, and their expressions became cold. Not allowed to take the college entrance examination for 3 years means cheating. What does this have to do with your sister? My dad said angrily. Yvonne. Is there something wrong with your brain? Leo's father and Leo's mother also reacted. Leo's father raised his hand and slapped Leo on the back of his head. Apologize to Serafina quickly. Leo stuck out his neck. There's no way I'll apologize to this vicious woman. I coldly looked at such Leo and felt that my past liking for him was not worth it. Leo's father. If possible, I advise you to have another child. This one is basically ruined. I sneered. Not being able to tell right from wrong and being selfish. Such a person is destined not to achieve great things. Leo's angry gaze fell on my face. Serafina. Did I give you too much face? Before he could finish speaking, Leo's father slapped him on the face. With a slap, the sound was clear and loud, attracting the attention of everyone present. Leo was slapped in public and his face was completely lost. His face flushed red. He glared at me fiercely, and then turned around and ran away quickly. Leo's father and Leo's mother repeatedly apologized to me. But I will not forgive Leo. Never. Mom and Dad. Let's go. Yvonne. Go home. My dad said in a deep voice and took the lead to walk. On the way back, my parents and I were sitting in one car. Only then did they ask me what was going on. I told my parents about Yvonne bringing my wrong answer notebook to the examination room to cheat. When she was found out, she framed me. Yvonne and Leo stood up to testify for Yvonne. My dad was so angry after hearing it that he almost burst into flames. This Leo. In recent years, if our family hadn't been constantly giving them money, their family would have gone bankrupt long ago. He doesn't feel grateful. Instead, he wants to ruin my daughter. My mom took a deep breath. Don't just talk about someone else's son. What about your son? My dad frowned more and more tightly. What's going on with this Yvonne? How could he help others frame his own sister like this? I pretended to say casually. Brother probably likes Yvonne. Cheating in the college entrance examination and framing others. How could he like such a person? My dad snorted. Wait until after the exam. I remembered something and immediately said, Mom and Dad, I'll go live outside for a few days first. I don't want to see my brother. It will affect my mood. My parents nodded and agreed. They didn't go to the company these days either. They have been taking care of me all the time. They sent me to the examination room and then waited outside the examination room for me all the time. In this way, the exam ended. I returned home. Yvonne also came. Leo sent him here. Yvonne anxiously asked. How is it? Yvonne, why didn't you let me pick you up? I just walked to the stairs. Yvonne looked up and saw me. Immediately, he lowered his head and wiped his tears. Leo said coldly, Yvonne can't take the college entrance examination within 3 years and her diploma has also been taken back by the school. He glared at me. Serafina, are you satisfied? Yvonne was crying as if he had suffered a great injustice. This really made Leo feel very distressed. My dad was sitting on the sofa. Only then did he speak. Leo, who gave you the courage to talk to my daughter like this? Leo's expression froze. Dad, Serafina. I go back and tell your dad that our two families' cooperation. The subsidize from Serafina's family company to Leo's company ends here. My dad's cold gaze looked Leo up and down. Your dad has a son like you who can't tell right from wrong. I think even if he gets more investments, it's only a matter of time before his family is ruined. Only then did Leo realize he was afraid. But he was still stubborn. Dad, Serafina, Yvonne's life is ruined. You didn't give Serafina a lesson. How can you be so indulgent to her? Who can't tell right from wrong? I strode over and slapped Leo hard on the face. What are you? How dare you talk to my dad like that? 5 in the past. I really gave Leo too much face. It even gave him the illusion that he could be on an equal footing with me. Leo reflexively raised his hand to fight back. I stood still and didn't even dodge. I said unhurriedly, Leo, think carefully. What are the consequences if you slap me? Can you bear it? Leo's hand stopped in my draft for a long time. Finally, he silently put it down. He knew very well what kind of person he was. But he didn't want to admit it. And he didn't dare to really offend me. I coldly curled up the corner of my mouth. Apologized to my dad. Leo bit his lower lip and looked at my dad. There's no need. My dad raised his hand to interrupt Leo before he could say anything. Your apology is worthless to me. Leo's expression was extremely wonderful. Today he finally saw what it means for a capitalist to turn his face quickly. Yvonne didn't dare to make a sound either. Yvonne looked at my dad disappointed lie. No wonder Serafina is so vicious. It's all because of you and Mom spoiling her. My mom smiled faintly. Her voice was cool. Yvonne, you talk to your parents like this. It seems that your dad and I have really been too indulgent to you. Your life has been too smooth. That's why you can't tell right from wrong. After saying that, my mom looked at Yvonne. Little girl, what's the meaning of you coming to our house? Isn't the matter already investigated clearly? The school and the Education Bureau have already given the result. If you are not satisfied, you can appeal. Coming to our house is useless. Before Yvonne could speak, my mom asked me again. Serafina, how did your wrong answer notebook get into this Miss Sue's hands? I looked at my mom admiringly. She pointed out the key point. Yvonne, besides cheating, did you steal it too? Oh my God. I covered my mouth in surprise. Yvonne couldn't defend himself. Tears streamed down his face again. I just want to change my life through this exam. What's wrong with that? This view shocked me. Is it okay for you to steal? Is it okay to cheat in the examination room? Then did the classmates who didn't get into their ideal schools because of your cheating do something wrong? Yvonne's face flushed red. Yvonne pulled Yvonne into his arms. Serafina. Shut up. Leo just watched from the side. He wanted to step forward but didn't dare. Coward. I deliberately blinked and innocently asked Yvonne, "Why didn't you help Yvonne at that time? When Yvonne was taken away, you didn't have any reaction. You didn't even say to go after and take a look. Is it because you didn't want to?" Yvonne lowered his eyes and hid his true emotions at the bottom, probably wondering about this too. The two sycophants didn't chase after at the critical moment. They were not feeling well. Have to say, Yvonne and Leo were really not good sycophants. Yvonne wanted to say something. I asked Leo again, "Why didn't you chase after either? Could it be that the college entrance examination is more important than Yvonne in your heart? Then what right do you have to say I'm vicious?" I innocently spread out my hands. I just casually asked why Yvonne's skirt was so bulging. "I'm not like you. So cowardly." My dad coughed lightly and said in a low voice, "Serafina, it's not wrong for your brother to put the college entrance examination first." Yvonne suddenly burst into loud cries. Leaving Yvonne's embrace, he shouted at me, "Anyway, my life has been ruined by you. You can say whatever you want." After saying that, he ran out. Yvonne, Leo also chased after. Naturally, Yvonne wanted to chase after too, but my dad's shout stopped him. "No matter what your thoughts are about that girl, I just tell you, I don't agree." Yvonne's face almost wrinkled into a bun. "Why? Dad, I'm already an adult. Loving whoever I want is my freedom." My dad pointed to the door. "She cheated in the college entrance examination and stole your sister's things. Her quality is so low. What do you like about her?" Yvonne still insisted stubbornly. "Yvonne is not like that." My dad. "So she didn't cheat and your sister's wrong answer notebook wasn't stolen by her either?" This time it was Yvonne who couldn't defend himself. He couldn't persuade my dad. So he came at me. "It's all because of you. Are you satisfied now?" It's this sentence again. Doesn't he have anything new? What am I satisfied with? This is just the beginning. I said that if I don't play them to death. I haven't started playing yet. The exam is over. I'm free now. I can go wherever I want. You have no right to control me. Yvonne coldly looked at my parents. After saying that, he strode out. No matter how my dad shouted at him, he acted as if he didn't hear. "Bastard." My dad cursed. My mom also shook her head in disappointment. This is a good sign. What I want is for my parents to be disappointed in Yvonne. Mom and Dad. I comforted my parents for a while and then said, "I'm fine now. I want to go to the company for an internship and learn something." Only then did my parents' expressions improve. They smiled and said, "Don't you take advantage of this holiday to go out and play? Didn't you say before that you wanted to go to Iceland in the summer vacation?" Before, I really wanted to go to Iceland. At that time, I hadn't experienced the betrayal of my own brother and good friend. I hadn't lost my life either. All I thought about was having fun. In this new life, I shook my head. No. I want to go to the company for an internship. Then go for an internship. If you learn earlier, you can take over earlier. My dad sighed. Yvonne is probably not reliable. My mom pulled up the corner of her mouth and smiled. Isn't there still Serafina? Don't be angry anymore. I went over and patted my dad on the back to soothe him. Yes, Dad. There's still me. I will definitely not let you and Mom down. My dad nodded satisfactorily. The look in his eyes was full of relief when he looked at me. 7 the next day I started to go to the company with my parents. Yvonne went to comfort Yvonne. My parents called him several times to come back, but he refused. My parents just let him be as long as he didn't cause any trouble. My internship job was being my mom's intern assistant. I started by doing some miscellaneous things and learning bit by bit. On the first day of work, Leo's father brought Leo. My dad came to my mom's office. Leo's father and his son are waiting downstairs. I didn't let them in, he said while looking at me. His eyes were somewhat meaningful. I knew what my dad wanted to say. Dad, I did like Leo before, but I don't like him anymore. He's not worthy of me. As soon as my dad heard this, he was immediately delighted. I knew our Serafina has high standards. Then I'll let them leave now. I thought for a while and decided to go down in person and make everything clear once and for all. When they saw me, Leo's father immediately brought Leo to me. He had an extremely apologetic expression. Serafina, I brought Leo today to apologize to you. Leo sneered and looked at Leo's father with contempt. Alas, there are many doting parents since ancient times. But who has seen filial children and grandchildren? I suddenly felt a little sorry for Leo's father. But I still had to say, our family has decided to withdraw investment from Leo's company. Leo's father. Even if Leo kneels in front of me now, I won't. Leo raised his eyebrows slightly, and his eyes looking at me were also full of contempt. Serafina, you are overthinking. I will never kneel down to you. You are not worthy. I gave Leo's father a self-evident look. See, even if I want to give him a chance, his son doesn't want it. Leo's father seemed to have aged a lot in an instant. He even pleaded in his words, Leo, apologize to Serafina. You two have had a friendship for so many years. Serafina will forgive you. He tightly grasped Leo's arm. Our family company really can't do without the subsidies from Serafina's family company. Dad. Leo shook off Leo's father's hand. I just don't believe it. Can't we live without the family? Don't worry. I will make the company successful. He looked down at me. The expression on his face seemed to be saying that fortunes change in 30 years. Don't bully a young man when he is poor. Serafina, I put my words here today. Our family will never take a penny from your family again. After putting down harsh words, Leo probably thought he was extremely handsome and turned around and left. I guess Leo's father wanted to take off his shoes and hit him. Leo's father was too embarrassed to say anything to me. He sighed and left. 8 During this time at the company, I have learned a lot. My parents praise me every day. Sometimes I feel guilty from their praise. Mom and Dad, I just learned to understand planning books. I still can't make plans. That's already great. Your brother still can't even understand planning books. Although Yvonne and I have received elite education since childhood, my parents didn't let us get in touch with the company too early in this regard. It seems that the education is still not successful. In my previous life, I liked Leo. In this life, Yvonne is still a love-struck person. But obviously, my parents are more satisfied with me now. Although we are all their own flesh and blood, I know that my status in my parents' hearts is now higher than Yvonne's. In fact, I don't need to do anything. I just need to make myself more outstanding. By the time Yvonne wants to take everything of the family from me, it will be too late. And my excellence reached a small peak when the college entrance examination results came out. Yvonne didn't come home for several days. Today he finally showed up. My parents urged him to check his results quickly. He opened the computer with a cold face, hesitated for a moment, and pressed the key. The total score is 455. Yvonne frowned tightly. How is this possible? I usually score more than 500 points. My dad snorted coldly. You didn't take the exam seriously. Did you? My mom was also extremely disappointed with Yvonne's score. Yvonne's icy gaze fell on my face again. It's all because of you. I was speechless. What does it have to do with me? Yvonne argued unreasonably. If it weren't for you, Yvonne wouldn't have been kicked out of the examination room. I wouldn't have been distracted because I was worried about her. My mom finally spoke. Enough. Yvonne, why do you always blame your sister whenever something happens? Did your sister ask Yvonne to cheat? Did your sister distract you? You are so old. Can't you tell what's more important? Don't talk to him. I think his brain has been corrupted by that Yvonne. My dad was in a bad mood. He turned and asked me to check my results quickly. I pressed the key but didn't see anything. My dad didn't react at first. What's going on? Is the network down? It was my mom who reacted quickly. Finally, a happy smile appeared on her face. Our Serafina is a top student whose score is blocked. Top student whose score is blocked. My dad stared at the screen tightly. The incredulous expression on his face gradually turned into surprise. Finally, he excitedly hugged my mom. Our daughter is a top student whose score is blocked. There's no need to be so excited. It's just the college entrance examination. I was born into a rich family. Naturally, I don't have to rely on the college entrance examination to change my life. However, I actually did so well. Clearly in my previous life, I could have made my parents so happy. But I died on the way to the makeup exam. It's Yvonne, and Leo and Devon. The three of them ruined me. The long-lost hatred filled my entire chest again. It was not until my mom hugged me that I gradually calmed down. Yvonne had already left. With that score, he didn't have the face to face my parents. Not only did Yvonne do poorly in the exam, but I also heard that Leo didn't do well in this exam either. His grades have always been better than Yvonne's. This time he didn't even score as high as Yvonne. The two of them can only go to a second-tier university. It would have been better if he had chased after Yvonne at that time. At least he could have gained the reputation of being desperate for love. Now the two of them have nothing. I told my parents that I wanted to choose the finance department. When they learned that I planned to give up my favorite literature department, my parents both sighed. I know you choose the finance department because you want to help the family. Serafina, it's mom and dad who are sorry for you. My dad's face was full of guilt. But I can't say that I choose the finance department to take away everything from Yvonne. To be exact, half of everything in the family belongs to me and half belongs to Yvonne. I want not only my own half, but also Yvonne's half. My mom held my hand. I support you in studying finance. Serafina, although mom knows you like literature very much, you are a member of the family. There are responsibilities on your shoulders that you must bear. I nodded vigorously. Mom and Dad, I will work hard and definitely won't let you down. My mom looked at me with admiration in her eyes. You are worthy of being my daughter. I know that my parents have decided to hand over the entire company to me. After checking the results, I continued to go to the company to learn. Because of my identity, the employees of the company were very flattering to me at first. But after such a long time, I have become good friends with everyone. As soon as I entered the company, Vivian came to me angrily and handed me her phone. What is she talking nonsense about? Before I could even take the phone, I heard Devon's voice. She actually started a live stream. I took Vivian's phone and saw Yvonne crying pitifully in the live stream room in front of the camera. Serafina, relying on being the daughter of a rich family, has always bullied me at school. She has always been jealous that I am more beautiful than her and wants to ruin me. She has succeeded now. She was really crying so hard that she couldn't speak. The netizens in the live stream room were also indignant. Yvonne, don't cry. We are all your backing. Let's go to the official Weibo of Serafina's family company and shout now. Report. Although the news about Yvonne's cheating in the college entrance examination came out, her face was blurred. So everyone doesn't know it's her. She really seizes every opportunity to sell miserably and act pitifully. New and old hatreds ignited a raging fire in my heart. I directly returned Vivian's phone and entered the live stream room with my own account. The one who ruined you is yourself. Stealing my wrong answer notebook and bringing it into the college entrance examination room. You not only cheated in the college entrance examination but also stole. You are not allowed to take the college entrance examination for 3 years. Isn't it all your own fault? Who can you blame? As soon as I finished saying these 3 sentences, I was kicked out of the live stream room by Yvonne. But the netizens in the live stream room all saw it. This matter became bigger and bigger. Damn. She is the one who cheated in this year's college entrance examination. Don't say it. Although her face is blurred, she really looks like her. It's her. I was in the same examination room as her. She wrapped the wrong answer notebook around her thigh and brought it in. The truth came out. Those who had just helped Yvonne now turned their spears towards her one after another. Do you know what will happen to those who take advantage of netizens? Good. You have aroused public anger. You cheated yourself and yet cried thief. Friends, it's time for her to taste the feeling of cyberbullying. Yvonne's tears stopped abruptly. Seeing that the situation was out of control, she immediately stopped the live stream. But it was useless. In the next few days, Yvonne was suffering from a thorough cyberbullying every day. The matter became bigger and bigger. Although the netizens finally stopped, all schools and enterprises also knew Yvonne's true face. It will be difficult for her to find a job in the future. Unexpectedly, there is really a bold MCN agency that wants to sign Yvonne. After all, she is so popular now. Black and red is also red. But she cheated in the college entrance examination. What's the difference between this and academic fraud? Netizens won't tolerate her. In these few days since she started live streaming to sell goods, not many goods were sold. She was almost scolded badly by netizens. Even the MCN agency that signed her was reported and had to fire her. See, netizens are smart, and not so easy to take advantage of. Yvonne's last way was blocked. His parents sent her to college to gild her so that she could be sold at a good price. Yvonne was born in a family that favors sons over daughters. Everything her parents did was for her brother. Now Yvonne's reputation has been ruined, and she didn't get into college. Her parents think she can't be sold for much money. Angrily, they came from afar and beat her up. They want to take her back to her hometown and find an old man to marry her off for some money. At the critical moment, it was Leo who stood up and saved Yvonne. How much money do you want? I'll give it to you. When Yvonne's parents saw that Leo was dressed stylishly and had an extraordinary temperament, they knew at a glance that he was rich. They directly asked Leo for 2 million yuan. Where does Leo have so much money? His family's company is on the verge of collapse. Seeing his hesitation, Yvonne's parents gave him 1 day. After Yvonne's parents left, Yvonne tightly hugged Leo and cried and begged him, "You must help me. Don't you like me? You didn't help me in the examination room back then. You didn't even chase after me. Do you still want to disappoint me this time?" Leo looked embarrassed, but still influenced by his male chauvinism. He nodded and agreed. "It's just 2 million yuan. Don't worry. I will definitely get it." This is the video sent to me by the private detective I hired. After watching it, I was waiting to see how Leo would gather 2 million yuan. Suddenly thinking of something, I immediately called my parents and told them to keep an eye on Yvonne and not let him give money to Yvonne. Although Yvonne has money, he doesn't have as much as 2 million yuan. My parents only give us 500 Zara yuan of pocket money every month. Yvonne is a spendthrift and can't save money at all. As I expected, Yvonne really asked my parents for money. I had told my parents in advance. Naturally, Yvonne didn't get money from my parents. In just 1 day, he went out to borrow money, and my parents also said that no one dared to lend him money. Now the pressure is all on Leo. As expected, Leo didn't disappoint Yvonne. At the appointed time the next day, he really gave 2 million yuan to Yvonne's parents. Yvonne's parents only recognize money and not people. As long as they get the money, everything is fine. They left Yvonne to Leo and happily left with the money. And that night, Leo and Yvonne had a relationship. This was also sent to me by the private detective. A few days later, a matter of Leo embezzling public funds was exposed within the circle. It turned out that his 2 million yuan was stolen from the company. Leo's company group was already on the verge of collapse. Without this 2 million yuan, it directly went bankrupt. Leo's father is now scrambling to raise money everywhere to fill the hole to protect his son. Alas, poor parents all over the world. 17. Without Leo, the only person Yvonne can rely on now is Yvonne. But in order to force Yvonne to stay away from Yvonne, my parents stopped his card and confiscated all his luxury cars. I thought Yvonne would abandon Yvonne soon. These two idiots, Yvonne and Leo, really think Yvonne is good to them. In fact, Yvonne is only after their money. But to my surprise, Yvonne didn't leave Yvonne, probably knowing that my parents won't really abandon Yvonne. My parents gave Yvonne an ultimatum. You and that Yvonne must break up. Yvonne raised his chin, looking cold and proud. I'll say it one last time. I love Yvonne. I will never abandon her. My dad was extremely angry. If you don't break up, get out of the family. Yvonne nodded firmly. Okay. I'll leave. I hope you won't regret it. He coldly looked at my parents for the last time, turned around and left with big steps without any hesitation. This time, I know my parents are completely disappointed in him. Well, that's great. After leaving home, Yvonne went directly to find Yvonne. The two rented a small house and actually started living together. The private detective I hired has been keeping an eye on them. Within a few days, the private detective found Yvonne taking Yvonne to the obstetrics department. Yvonne is actually pregnant. Is she trying to use the child in her belly to enter our family? Mrs. Nice try. I directly found Leo's father and lent him some money. After paying the bail, Leo was temporarily free. I anonymously sent Leo the intimate photos of Yvonne and also told Leo the good news of Yvonne's pregnancy. Leo must be very willing to be a father. These three people should make their lives better than anything else. Leo didn't disappoint me either. He made the lives of the three people more and more exciting. He embezzled public funds for Yvonne and caused his company to go bankrupt. He may still face imprisonment. But Yvonne got together with Yvonne in the blink of an eye and is pregnant with Yvonne's child. How could Leo let Yvonne go? He found Yvonne. When Yvonne saw Leo, he was stunned for a moment. Then, stammering, he made a trembling sound. Brothers on. You're out? Leo sneered. You don't want me out? Yvonne shook his head. Of course not. Yvonne. Fuck your mother. Leo was furious. Suddenly, he stepped forward, grabbed Yvonne's hair and threw her to the ground. Then he punched and kicked her stomach. Soon, a glaring pool of red spread under Yvonne. When Yvonne rushed back, Yvonne was already on the verge of death. When rivals meet, they are extremely jealous. The gazes of the two men met in my dread. The war started instantly. At this moment, Leo was like a wild beast. Yvonne was no match for him at all. Soon he was pressed under Leo. Leo was so enraged that he ran to the side, picked up a big stone and smashed it on Yvonne's leg. Amid Yvonne's increasingly shrill screams, Leo smashed on Leo's leg again and again, until the sound of police sirens rang. 12. Leo was taken into custody again, and could not be released on bail. After Yvonne and Yvonne were sent to the hospital, one child was lost and the uterus was severely damaged. She can never get pregnant again in this life. And Yvonne's leg was disabled. He will be unable to leave the wheelchair for the rest of his life. When my parents and I arrived at the hospital, Yvonne was going crazy in bed. Treat me. Treat me. I want to stand up. The doctor sighed and shook his head. Serafina, even with the most advanced medical skills in the world, we can't treat your leg. Yvonne's face was completely pale. It was as if he had been struck by lightning. After a long time, he reacted again and continued to go crazy. Finally, after being given a sedative injection, he calmed down. Yvonne also woke up. I called Yvonne's parents. When Yvonne's parents arrived and saw Yvonne in such a miserable state, they didn't feel sorry for her at all. Instead, they blamed her for ruining themselves. Good for nothing. Stop talking. Let's go quickly. Staying in the hospital is also a waste of money. Yvonne was dragged out of the ward by her parents. Seeing me outside the ward, Yvonne broke down. Serafina, it's you who ruined me. You ruined me. I want to kill you. I stepped forward and stopped Yvonne's parents. Uncle and aunt. Where are you taking her? Yvonne's mother snorted coldly. Where else can we go? Of course back home. She has become a used woman and is worthless. Going back and selling her to the old bachelor in our village can still sell for a few hundred yuan. Let's go. The two dragged Yvonne away. Yvonne's shrill shouts echoed in the corridor all the time. No. Save me. Sarafina. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Can you help me? Sarafina. She was dragged into the elevator and the world finally became quiet. 13. A year later. Leo's case was settled. He was convicted of intentional murder and sentenced to 6 years and 7 months in prison. But now I have no interest in Leo's news at all. The summer vacation is here and I continue to go to the company for an internship. This time I can already participate in projects. When I got home at night, I saw Yvonne sitting in a wheelchair and smiling at me. You're back. In this year, he has accepted the fact that he can never stand up again. My parents' only hope for him is to live well. Everything in the family already belongs to me. Looking at Yvonne's ingratiating smile. I'm not in a hurry to kill him. When he gets sick again one day, I can let him disappear from this world silently. But I can still destroy him mentally. Brother, why haven't you contacted Yvonne recently? Don't you miss her? There was a flash of ruthlessness in Yvonne's expression. It's that bitch who made me like this. I wish I could kill her. He took a deep breath and his expression softened a little. Sister, are you still not willing to forgive me? I shrugged and went upstairs. Forgive him? Impossible. I want to live better and better. This is the greatest revenge on Yvonne. Standing on the top of the stairs, I turned around and looked at Yvonne below. This angle is just right. I like this feeling of being on top. I also like Yvonne's humble appearance. However, Yvonne will always live in the dust. And I will go higher and higher.